Welcome back to Man Across New Horizons. I'm dear darling. Should we see what's going on our lovely island of Fawnhallow today? On our lovely island of Fawnhallow today, as we'll be vibing out as per usual. You know, I'm just sort of chilling, we're vibing, we're relaxing, we're having a good time, probably, maybe, I don't know. You know, I guess I don't really know what's going on with your life. Hopefully, you know, it's a good time, or, you know, if it's a bad time, this too shall pass, as they say. Life is full of ups and downs, which is what I suppose makes the peaks as meaningful as the troughs. And I don't really know what I was going with that. That was meant to be a bit motivating, but now it kind of sounds a bit more motivating the more I think about it. I don't know, but pretend what I said was super inspirational. Anyway, good evening everyone. Right now in Fawnhallow, it's 9:20 p.m. on Monday, February 6th, 2023. What can we talk about today? Oh, you know what I actually can talk about today, because it was something interesting which happened, was at lunchtime, you know. Went out to go buy some lunch. Oh, okay, I thought I might have accidentally just like stopped recording there, which luckily I didn't. From a well-known lunch, well, I'm not sure if a luncheon place is really the right word, but it's like sandwich, like brunch. I'm not really sure what I'd call it, but pret-a-manger. I don't actually know if it's a UK only change, or if it's in other countries as well. I assume it's in other countries. I think I've seen it about, but you know, I'm not too familiar, so who knows. Anyway, they just sort of sell, it's sort of like a place you go to for lunch if you don't want to have a meal deal from like a supermarket or something, because they're a bit more pricey, you know, like a meal deal from like say Tesco's right now costs like £4, which is wild. I mean, you know, I've spoken about it before when it used to cost £3 and now it's a whole pound more, which is like whoa. But if you get like I don't know how much an entire meal costs at pret-a-manger, because, or pret as people who are much more sane call it, because I never get a full meal at Pret. I always just get like a sandwich, or I get a pot of pasta or something. It costs about like £6 something. But it's interesting because at Pret, well, it's not that interesting. It's very sort of humdrum, I suppose. But at Pret, normally I will get a sandwich, or I'll get like the hot pasta we get, with macaroni and cheese, I suppose. Because during Christmas time, like I went to Pret and they were selling this macaroni and cheese, and I was like, oh, you know, I'll give it a try. And I can't remember what was in it. It was like it was called like hog's roast mac and cheese or something at Pret, and it was like genuinely really delicious. So much so that every single time I went back to Pret, which I must say I don't go to Pret really that often. I'm going to say like once every 3 weeks or something. I was like, oh, you know, I'm going to have this hog's roast mac and cheese or something, and it's delicious. But it was a limited time thing because it was just for Christmas, I suppose. So unfortunately, it wasn't there anymore. And I tried the vegan. And I don't know if it was vegan or if it was just like a vegetarian mac and cheese. So I genuinely can't remember. I tried it. It's fine. I'd say I think it's like a kale mac and cheese, which is like it's okay. But I won't really put kale in mac and cheese. It's not really like the first thing I would think of for like a vegetable which goes well with mac and cheese. You might be like, what vegetable do you think goes best with mac and cheese? And genuinely, I think probably broccoli. You know, cheesy broccoli is like kind of thing, like cheesy cauliflower is a thing, but I think broccoli just kind of works a bit better. I don't know why necessarily, and onions are also really good. Yeah, but you know, went today and I was like, oh, you know, they have a new type of mac and cheese, a prosciutto mac and cheese, and I was like, whoa, that's very fancy, and it looked good and it looked crispy, so I was like, alright, I'm gonna go buy it. And then, you know, just went up to the cash register, whatever, you know, just for takeaway. And then I'm just sort of watching the person at the register, the cashier, you know, like try and ring me up, you know, doesn't scan it or anything. Like I think he's like manually inputting it into the tablet. I mean, it's taking like kind of a long time. I'm not going to complain or anything because, you know, at the end of the day, I'm probably going to get my food eventually. At worst, it'll, you know, take me like, I mean, it's not like it's going to take an hour or whatever. But I'm sort of just like watching him being like, what's going on, you know? Because I bought mac and cheese before, you know, they have like 3 different types of mac and cheese, and I just, you know, got the new one or whatever, and then he calls over like his manager over, and then like she's like just standing there just like trying to type up a screen. I can't really see what's going on, and then like soon all the other cashiers are sort of just like rotating in and out, just sort of like looking at what's going on with the manager, sort of just like typing something, and then, you know, she tells me, he's like, okay, it's not in the system right now, we're just trying to add it in, and then, you know, it just wouldn't add in or something. So, you know, I was just sort of standing there, I was just like chatting, you know, I wasn't really like that big deal. I wasn't going to be like, oh, how dare you not give me, like, sell me my mac and cheese, because it was like 5 minutes or something, you know, who really cares? It was quite an entertaining thing to me. Well, I'm not just going to say entertaining, it was just, you know, sort of like it was an interesting thing which happened. And by the end of it all, you know, she ended up being like, oh, okay, you know what, you can just have it for free because we can't seem to add it to a system. And I was like, all right, fine by me. Thank you very much for that. yeah, so that's the story of how I got my lunch for free today, because Pret a Manger did not add the newest item to their cash register. And you might be like, that's a really boring story. And it is a really boring story. You know, that sometimes you just have like very boring daily life stories throughout life. Wait, how many times can I say daily life in one sentence? But it was the most interesting thing which happened to me today, which is, you know, would make even somewhat passable a story in the first place. I don't know, it just sort of like didn't expect to have it. Didn't expect that to happen. And you might be like, how was it? You know, you tried it, you ate it, and you were like, was this delicious? It was fine. Is what I'd say. It wasn't particularly amazing. It wasn't as good as a hog's roast mac and cheese. I'd definitely tell you that much. It had cauliflower in it, which, you know, as I say, cauliflower cheese is a thing. Don't get me wrong. And I do like cauliflower. I just didn't think it worked as well as mac and cheese, to be honest. Anyways, it's not been very often where, you know, you get things for free. It's kind of like, I'm sure if you ever worked as a cashier or a shop attendant or anything in the service industry, I'd imagine, whenever something doesn't register or doesn't scan, you know, is the ongoing meme that the customer will go, oh, does that mean I get it for free? And then you as a cashier need to go, ha ha ha, and then, I don't know, continue trying to get it to scan properly or whatever. I mean, it's very much sort of, I don't know, I can't even remember the last time something is not like properly scanned. I feel like a lot of the time is because I go through self-checkout, to be honest. Unless I have like a lot of food I'm buying or whatever. But a lot of times I'm not buying that much. I buy little and often. That sort of thing. Sorry about that little bit of a pause. But we're continuing on now with a vibing in Animal Crossing. What was I talking about? I was talking about like getting a free meal from Pret a Manger. Who am I kidding? I was Pret a Manger. Yeah, you know, we'll keep the 6 musical references coming until, you know, I finally see this musical at some point. What was I going to say? Yeah, I don't know last time. When's the last time I got like a free meal? More like a by accident free meal, not like someone treated me to a meal or something like that. More like I was going to go purchase it. But like, I guess one which was like sort of, what's the word? I want to say co-opted, but co-opted doesn't sound like the right word. What does co-opted even mean? Hold on, before I use a word incorrectly. Co-opted, because co-opted sounds like to me like it's been like robbed or something. Not robbed, but appoint to membership or committee by invitation of existing members. Oh, okay. Divert and enroll different use. That's a meaning I was thinking of. A different use. Like co-opted means like, so to me it's like when something is now used in different ways, like that thing co-opted out of the thing. Anyway, what am I talking about? Yeah, I can't really think of the last time that something like that's happened. I'm not sure, I must have spoken about this before. Used to be a thing back in secondary school where they used to sell these like cookies during lunchtime, and you know, you might comment on the fact that, you know, should they really be selling trays and trays of cookies to like teenagers or whatever, you know, is that most healthy lunch? To be honest, probably not, but you know, I think you're gonna have a hard time convincing like teenagers to necessarily go shopping up a salad bar or whatever, because I feel like we might have had a salad bar, but I feel like it was actually quite expensive. the cheapest thing to buy, which I always bought for lunch, which is ridiculous to say, with these things called pizza wraps, which are basically just a tortilla with like tomato sauce and melted cheese, folded up and like grilled. They cost like £1, so I'd always have 3 of them and £3, and they were probably so unhealthy. It was just like a huge amount of cheese, I'd imagine. Anyway, sometimes, you know, you choose to get two pizza wraps instead and 2 cookies, because the cookies were like 50p or then became 60p or something. I can't remember, they were quite cheap. Anyway, the only reason I'm speaking about this is I remember I used to like stack the 2 cookies on top of each other sometimes, and sometimes the lunch ladies and dinner ladies would not even notice that I had 2 cookie stacks on top of each other, so it would only like charge me the cost of 1. But every single time, you know, because I was, you know, I was by the book, I suppose, I was like, hey, I actually have 2 cookies instead of 1, and they were like, oh, sorry. And then don't go, and they were just like, oh, okay, and then they put the other cookie in, and then just like, I paid for it anyway. And at the time, you know, certainly I thought about it. It was like, oh man, you know, if I didn't say anything, you know, I could have saved 60p on this lunch, you know, by not having to buy an extra cookie. Which, you know, now I look at it from an adult lens, I'm like, okay, yeah, that's fair, but I feel like if I wanted to save 60p, I suppose I could just like not eat the cookie in the first place. Or if I wanted to save money, perhaps there were definitely more other places I could definitely cut back on. As a high priority, I think, when cookies and being a luxury, necessarily, because 60p was quite cheap for cookies anyway. I mean, school lunches were already pretty cheap, which is, you know, quite good because they were then affordable. But yeah, you know what was also weird now I think about it, back in my school lunch days, is when I first, you know, was at school, you had to pay using like actual cash and coins and money. It took forever, and then they introduced a card system, and yeah, the card system was fantastic. Eventually, as things ended up happening. Yeah, I can't really remember what else I was saying. Yeah, and at no point did my lunch ladies ever be like, you know, oh, you know, accidentally missed out a cookie or something, you know, I'll just take it for free or whatever. Or maybe I did. Maybe I just don't remember. Maybe I just remember the times I still paid for it anyway. I'm really trying to think. Like, I can't think of the last time something like didn't scan. I remember when I lost my mind. Yeah, the anecdotes of it, they're just not really rolling in today. I'm not gonna lie. I don't even know what I'm gonna title this episode. Like, free meal. It's not really talking about a free meal, so it's talking. Well, I mean, I guess it's kind of talking about a free meal, just in different sense. Unscannable, not in stock. This is where you know, I do my pitch meetings in my mind of what would be the best title for this video. Not that it really matters, you know. But there seems to be no rhyme and reason between what videos or random costing people click on, which ones don't. To be perfectly honest, I've got no clue. Because one of the most popular ones in recent times was Unaging Protagonist, which I'm just sort of like, I have no idea why people watch that one necessarily, but you know, sure, I guess. I'm sure it's happened though when I scanned something. I was just like, I'll just take it. I don't know, maybe it hasn't. Maybe that's why I was so surprised. I was just like, oh, okay, you know. Yeah, but weirdest thing about it is like the fact that it could have just charged me for like a different like pot of mac and cheese, and it would have been like, oh, you know, oh no, the actual one cost like $6.30, and then the one they charged me for was like $6.20. It's like, oh no, 10 pence. But you know, I guess because I was sort of just like standing there for a while, they were just like, okay, you can just have it for free because you know this probably costs £6 of your time, and I was like, probably not really, to be honest, but I certainly don't blame them. And in case they thought I was going to go, you know, be like, can I speak to your manager? You know, this is unacceptable. You know, I've got places to be. I don't have places to be, you know. I mean, I wasn't really in that much of a rush. I had like an hour or so, you know, I was sort of just like standing there. If anything, it was just a little bit awkward. I was just like, you know, they're not really acknowledging me, I suppose, in any sense, because they're really trying to figure out what on earth is going on with this like stock machine or whatever, with the lack of this macaroni cheese being added to, you know, the collection. And I just sort of just stood there, you know. It was really busy in my prep because it's lunchtime, unsurprisingly. I got there just a little bit before the lunchtime rush. And the queue was really forming, and I was just like, I don't really know what to do, except for just, you know, stand it. It's not like I can do anything. I'm not going to reach over and like imagine be like, oh, this is why the mac and cheese isn't in your system. And it's a bit strange, because the more I think about it, I'm just like, one, they should have just definitely charged me for a different mac and cheese, you know, and been like, oh, you know, if they'd done it immediately, be like, oh, you just saved like 20p, and I'd be like, oh, amazing. You know, this makes up for all the times, you know, back in secondary school where, you know, I paid for an extra cookie when I could have got it for free. Except for this one's better on my conscience, I suppose. But also, I'm surprised you can't just like charge a custom amount in their system. Like, it seems like you have to specifically select a product, which I guess is due to stock or whatever. But I'm surprised it isn't an option for like other. I mean, you can just like choose the exact price or whatever it is. But I don't know. I'm not going to tell them how to run my business, because I genuinely don't know what goes on behind the scenes. There probably are good reasons for things, and it's not really for my place to like judge or criticise them for it. And I don't mean to judge or criticise them for it. I'm just, you know, there's just I keep saying like an amusing anecdote. It's really not amusing. It's probably one of the least interesting anecdotes I've spoken about in recent days. It's just sort of like it happened. Is about all it really amounts to. It's just like, oh, you know, just got some free mac and cheese, you know. And you might be like, did it taste like even better because you got it for free? Not really, I'm going to be honest. You know, there's some things which do taste better when XYZ happens beforehand. One of them, definitely, if you put in like work beforehand, and then you eat something or drink something, I suppose, after all the fruits of your labour. Fantastic. Yeah, it tastes amazing. Or when you're really, really hungry, you taste something fantastic. When you taste something which you've been craving, and, you know, I don't really get cravings all that often, but, you know, sometimes I get, you know, like, nostalgic for food or whatnot, but more often than not when I actually eat the food, you know, if I actually indulge in that, like, craving. I'm just sort of like, yeah, wasn't that good. could have done without it. Sometimes that's not the case though. I forgot what I was going to say. If anything, I feel like, you know, I talked about like eating at Taco Bell before, which is not a very common chain restaurant and fast food place. And hello, Wisp. I don't think we have enough time to sort you out, so we're not going to, which is not a very common thing, a commonplace location in the UK. Eating a quesadilla sort of reminded me of eating pizza wraps back in secondary school, so that's probably why I like those quesadillas, despite the fact that we're not great or anything. I don't even be like, wow, this is probably like peak Mexican food. It's sort of just like, yeah, it's junk food, it's fast food. And there you go. I don't know. I'm trying to think. Have I ever gotten like a meal for free? I'm trying to think, because most of the times I purchase like meals and that sort of things where like there's actually like a cashier, or will be in fast food places, which basically, you know, always happens fine. You know, actually that's another interesting point. But the only times where cashiers, or not cashiers, or fast food places end up being like troublesome is sometimes when, you know, I'm not sure how it is nowadays necessarily where you are, but nowadays we have like these ordering terminals where you kiosks where you like put in your order on like these interactive touchscreens, and then you just go pick it up from delivery. Fantastic, by the way. Absolutely what fast food probably needs is just like any sense of more efficiency in the first place, because it's fast food. You're not there for the experience. You're there to get, it's in the name, fast food. You're there to get food and get out, right? At least that's what I'm there for. And the screens have just made things so much easier, at least from a consumer standpoint. I don't know if it's necessarily easier or harder from like from a service like on the other side of the counter, but yeah, but the only time the problems I run into those is sometimes they don't give you a receipt and you don't give an order number, so you sort of stand around at a delivery thing being like, yeah, I had like this thing, I don't know what order it is, and they'll be like, oh, okay. You never get it for free though. I suppose I'm trying to think of like a vending machine if you get like a 2-for-1 deal or something. But the thing is, I very rarely use vending machines in the first place. I can't even think of the last time I even used a vending machine. Oh, probably in Japan. That's not a very exciting answer, though. That's because they have vending machines like everywhere, which I don't know. I don't know if that's necessarily good or bad. I suppose it's alright. It is kind of convenient, in a sense, rather than having to go, you know, because the convenience stores, you know, you have a whole rigmarole, I suppose, with cashier and everything. You know, they greet you, you greet them, you're going to this, and you're going to say that, say this, say that, whatever, just to complete a transaction, when, you know, it's a lot easier said than done than just sort of like going up to a vending machine and being like, boop, put money in, done, or just scan a card even. If you got like, I forgot what those cards are called, I'm going to be honest, but whatever. Anyway, I forgot what I was going to say. I don't know, free meal? I'm going to try and think of a better title for this episode, because I really can't. It's probably one of the most uneventful episodes, I think, in recent times. Like, there's not even really much of a story here. It just sort of happened. Is it an interesting story? No. Are you still here for it? Maybe. I don't know. Statistically, someone's probably watched this episode. You know what? Credit to you for sticking through to it to the end. Yeah, I don't know. Compensation meal? How about that? Nah. I don't know, unscannable meal. What, I'll just give it like a nonsense title, so then people look at it and be like, what does that even mean? And maybe you'll get to hear this humdrum story at the same time. Anyway, I'm going to round this episode off here. So if you have been watching, thank you very much. It's been Animal Crossing New Horizons. I've been Dear Darling. Likes, comments, subscription, shares are greatly appreciated. Twitter, Discord down below. Hope we can see each other again. But for now, it's our farewell. So until next time, bye-bye for now.